Wir gehen jetzt wieder in Reactions auf jeden Fall rein und gucken jetzt von Yong Tales. Von dem habe ich nämlich auch einen Nuzlocke gesehen. Ziemlich cool. Haben wir auch im Stream geguckt. My Giant Centipede escaped in the house. Ich weiß nicht, ob das ein Pokémon-Video ist oder nicht. Ich habe damals das Thumbnail gesehen und da ist zwar Centiskorch drauf, aber ich glaube, das ist kein Pokémon-Video. Ich glaube, das ist einfach nur ein Video über wirklich seinen Tausendfüßler. Ich bin mir aber nicht ganz sicher. Aber wäre lustig, wenn es ein Pokémon-Video wäre. Oh, ob er das mutet. Ups, weiter.
Okay, so I think it's pretty safe to assume that you've met Grievous from my Pokemon Bug Squad.
Yeah.
I mean, he's pretty amazing, right? But do you know why I named him Grievous instead of some other centipede-related name? Like, why didn't I choose something more appropriate, like Doomdozer?
Doomdozer!
Hecapede. Or Glenn. Glenn would have been a great name, but the answer is because I named it after a centipede I had in real life. Now, believe it or not, I've actually never had any...
Ciao, Kanotaurus, soll ich es aussprechen. Ciao, bis zum nächsten Mal.
Super dangerous pets. Closest would have been my two scorpions, Sonic and Barkus.
Sonic!
Then, they aren't much of a threat as long as they can't climb out of the tank and I'm not being an idiot trying to boop them in the face with my finger. But all that changed one day when I got a phone call from my uncle. We'll call him Uncle. Because it's convenient. Uncle is pretty much like me, likes to keep cool pets, except his collection is like 100 times bigger than mine. He's also the type of person that actually goes out on excursions to find these animals, you know, pulling off like that Steve Irwin stuff. Rest in peace, my man. Anyways, one day he just calls me out of the blue and is like, "Hey, you want a centipede?" Do I want a centipede? I don't know about you, but that's not a question I get asked a whole lot, so I wasn't really sure how to respond.
Ich muss ja sagen, ich mag Insekten nicht. Ich würde kein Insekt als Haustier haben wollen. Eine Schlange würde ich nehmen.
Now, centipedes, not to be confused with your family-friendly millipedes, are potentially very dangerous. They're fast, unpredictable, freight trains of death, escape artists whose bite, depending on the species, can send someone to the shadow realm.
Ach du Scheiße.
Or the hospital. It's like a snake for people who don't want an actual snake, if that makes sense.
Warte mal, ich google mal
I've never
Centipede.
actually considered keeping one before. I mean, I
Das
don't
ist ein
even know the
Tausendfüßler
first
einfach nur.
thing when it comes to taking care of a centipede. Therefore, my level of experience is definitely something I should consider.
Holy shit! Ja, nee, das ist ja holy shit! Ja, das ist ein bisschen anders als die Tausendfüßler, die ich kenne. Ich glaube, ich meinte dieses andere Ding, was er gezeigt hat. Ach du Kacke. Was ist verpasst hast? Wir gucken jetzt Reactions an und der hat einen Tausendfüßler oder was auch immer genau sein soll.
Such a dangerous animal. So naturally I said yes. Just a quick disclaimer, but always make sure you
Hundertfüßer? Hundertfüßer ist Centipede?
proper research on the pet you are getting. Like, don't just go to your friendly neighborhood PetSmart and buy a T-Rex on impulse because it looked cool and was on sale,
Ja, doch.
and then get home and be like, okay, now what? Had you done any research, you would have quickly learned.
Boah, nee, also wie gesagt, Insekten, alles nichts für mich. Ich muss leider sagen, Insekten leider gar nichts für mich.
That they make terrible pets. And then you would have most likely been eaten by now. My situation was a little different in the sense that Uncle hooked me up with pretty much everything that I needed. The centipede already came with an enclosure, substrate, and I already had plenty of food for it. But of course, I also did some additional reading up on how to take care of centipedes. Hashtag responsible owner. And just like that, Grievous was mine. I was even given 2 fuzzy butt darkling beetles as bonus take mates. My uncle said they were supposed to eat the scraps the Grievous leaves behind, and if not, Grievous will just eat the beetles. I didn't know if darkling beetles ate bug remains, let alone made appropriate take mates for a centipede, but oh well. I ended up naming them Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
Die sterben doch safe, oder? Die sterben doch safe.
Grievous was a giant California tiger centipede.
Ich weiß gar nicht nach.
skull
Ach du Scheiße!
polymorpha. Those aren't as dangerous as its more tropical bird.
Junge, du brauchst keine echten Bilder
In
zeigen.
the event I
Jesus!
do get bit, oh, believe me, it'll hurt like a bean curd, but I don't think it'll become like super serious. Unless, of
Gott sei Dank mag ich auch nicht. Wie gesagt, ich mag Insekten nicht.
course, I'm allergic, then. Give or take a few days later, and I'm getting a pretty good idea of what it's like to have a 100-legged monster in my house. It's actually not as exciting as you might think. Like, aside from feeding it, where it
Jesus.
wraps itself around its prey and eats it alive like an absolute boss.
Ich komme mit
it
Insekten nicht
barely
klar.
moves during
Ich komme mit
the day.
Insekten einfach echt nicht
Honestly,
klar.
sometimes it stayed in the exact spot for days on end.
Ob ich auch nicht die Folie-Dinger nehmen würde? Nein, scheiß auf Insekten. Ich würde keine Insekten in mein Haus haben wollen. Die Folie-Dinger sind auch nicht süß. Ich verstehe nicht, warum Leute die süß finden. Die sind scheiße.
I wonder if it's dead. Maybe I should boop it with a stick. Hashtag responsible owner. By this time, however, I've been
Nee, danke, Valantas. Ich will dich
doing
nur
a
mehr
bit
anschreiben.
of further research, and pretty much all the centipede guides I read said the same thing. Centipedes like to burrow, they need humidity so they don't dry out and can molt properly, blah blah blah, biology stuff. And when I looked at Grievous, his substrate was just straight up sand. And I'm guessing Grievous hasn't been burrowing because, you know, sand is not the most structurally stable, that sort of thing. So that definitely got me a little concerned and confused, because like majority of info suggested that centipedes need these things, but Grievous is a desert centipede, and I can't imagine they have a whole lot of moisture out there. Definitely a lot of sand. Plus, shouldn't I just trust my uncle? You know, he has a lot more experience than me.
Ich finde ihn nicht
Then
niedlich.
I got all sympathetic and concerned about the well-being of Grievous. What if he's unhappy or stressed because he can't burrow? What if he doesn't like Tweedledee and Tweedledum?
Guck
What
sie
if
mal
he
an.
doesn't like sand because it's coarse and rough and irritating and it gets everywhere?
Haha, die Star Wars Reference.
If he doesn't even like Grievous? What if he prefers another name? Like Glenn? So I followed my gut and I made plans to relocate Grievous to another tank. This one was going to be bigger, taller, fixed with eco-earth, a much better substrate for burrowing and retaining moisture. I mean, sure, his original cage had a lock over it preventing any form of escape, but I figured this new one, it's tall enough, no significant openings. I'm not going to regret this in the future. This will be fine. The transfer was pretty successful. There were no casualties there. I'm not quite an expert at reading
Happy,
centipede
sad,
facial
man,
expressions,
neutral.
but I think Grievous looked happy. He immediately started burrowing and basked in the nice, moist substrate like, oh yeah, where has this been all my life? Screw sand! So I left that feeling pretty proud of my decision. Hashtag responsible owner once again. Figured he probably won't want to eat unless he comes out, so I just decided to leave him for a while. And that while turned into a few days, then a week. The next thing I know, it's been 2 weeks and I haven't seen him come out once. He didn't even come out to eat the food I left out for him. This is still fine, but eventually I decided to just carefully poke around just to see what Grievous has been up to. And I was expecting him to just shoot out of the ground like, why are you disturbing my slumber? But after a while, I'm pretty sure I combed through this whole cage already. Where I was once calmly and carefully poking around, now I am frantically swiping through
Junge,
the
mal
dirt.
ganz ehrlich, ne, wenn ich irgend so ein komisches Tier zu Hause hätte, es wäre an sich in seinem Gehege drin, das wäre ich, glaube ich, einfach. Ich würde einfach
Trying to find this
ausrasten.
blasted centipede, but thermal scans indicated he was not in the cage. Well, that day certainly sucked. You know, I just realized this while recording, but why didn't I just take him out, then put in the substrate, and then put him back in? Stupid. Hashtag irresponsible owner. My pride as a pet owner has just been shattered in a million pieces because my intuition about what I thought was best for my pet was wrong, and I ended up paying the price. Oh yeah, totally not to mention that now we have a venomous giant centipede loose in the house. Better check those bedsheets before bedtime. Mom was definitely not happy about that. But I had the best intentions. Best intentions? Some of the worst things imaginable have been done with the best intentions.
Bam!
Touché.
Destroyed.
I did try laying out some moist pieces of paper towels around the house, hoping it could lure him out. But another week went by and I figured either he died or he escaped to the outside. Either way, I wasn't getting him back. Honestly, it still boggles my mind.
Also ganz ehrlich, dann lieber froh sein, dass er aus dem Haus gegangen ist, als bei dir im Haus zu bleiben. Puh.
How Grievous managed to get out. My best guess is that he used the corner of the tank to shimmy his way up and then somehow squeeze out of this really small opening in the lid. That's honestly the only explanation I can think of. So yeah, not entirely sure where he is now or...
Ich mag Tiere zwar, aber ich würde mir lieber ein Tier holen, womit ich richtig anfreunden kann, wie ein Hund oder eine Ratte etc. Ja, ich habe ja auch selber Hasen und ganz ehrlich, ne, ich würde auch eine Echse nehmen, ne? Mein Krokodil. Mein liebstes Haustier ist aber immer noch, ich will irgendwann ein Hausschwein haben. Ich will ein Hausschwein haben.
He's even alive, but I mean, who knows? Maybe one day I'll go through a bunch of stuff and be like, oh, so that's where you've been this whole time.
Das ist die erste Reaktion, ja.
Some comfort in the fact that this usually happens to people that take care of centipedes. They say it'll happen at least once in your life. It's just a matter of when. So I mean, with that logic, I should
Hausschweine, so geil, sag ich dir, Valantas.
be good
Solche
for
Helden.
the next centipede I get. I do plan on getting another one, that's for sure. Probably of the same species. And this time, I won't be taking any chances. For now, I'm just stuck with Tweedledee and Tweedledum. And my other pets. Thing 1, Thing 2, Elise, Natasha, Nebula, and Nezuko.
Ich will gar nicht wissen, was es ist. Ich kann mir Spinnen nicht ansehen, Junge, Mann.
No
Wirklich, ohne Scheiß, ich kann Spinnen nicht sehen. Kennen Sie diese eine Szene aus Herr der Ringe? Wenn die Riesenspinnen, kann ich bis heute nicht ansehen. Es geht nicht. Ich kann mir das nicht ansehen. Auch nicht mal die Szene aus Harry Potter. Aber trotzdem cooles Video. Jesus Christ, ich mag Insekten nicht.